Okay, now wait, I know this is very weird and not typically on this channel, but you gotta hear me out. This is something I'm really passionate about and something I kinda wanted to share with people. And now that there are almost 5,000 of you fuckers, well, you know, might as well. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is a show that doesn't really take itself too seriously. I mean, just look at these clips and you'll understand why.
Who cares if he's richer than me? And so what if he's more powerful? I'm really good at playing card games. And that's what life is really all about anyway!
Can I get a cringe?
To represent this a little bit more, the new protagonist also doesn't take themselves too seriously. Jaden Yuki, or Judai if you're cringe, is a slacker and someone who just wants to play the game for the fun of it all. And so, he's the one chosen to fight against cult leaders, doomsday cultists, evil spirits bent on revenge, and fucking aliens. The show really loves to show the contrast between someone hell-bent on a mission, taking themselves seriously, and a goofy high school kid who's just in it for the fun of it all. But Jaden isn't the character I'm talking about today. No, we're talking about the king himself, Chazz Princeton.
Okay, let's lay some groundwork. First off, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rivals typically have a few characteristics that bind them together. The first of that characteristic is that their ace monster has a stat line of 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense. Second, they have strategies that focus on beatdown or overwhelming their opponent with overwhelming power. And typically, Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonists will have an ace monster with a stat line of 25,000 attack and 2,100 defense. Their strategies will mostly focus on deck unity and summoning out most of their monsters. The weird part is where Chazz fits into all of this. You see, Chazz's ace monster, Ojama King, has a stat line of 0 attack and 3,000 defense. Not to mention that, but he also doesn't use beatdown. He instead focuses on summoning out his Ojamas, clearing boards, and dealing attacks with minimal damage. And this really sets the tone for what Chazz is as a rival. He's someone who takes himself seriously, but has absolutely zero bite to his bark. Not to say he's a bad duelist by any means, just compared to the other rivals such as Seto Kaiba, multi-billionaire, or Jack Atlas, the powerful rich duelist who got famous off of his skill. Chazz almost makes fun of those kind of archetypes. He's rich and well-connected and has powerful cards, but he's still just kind of a goober.
Chazz contrasts Jaden in a really nice way. If you want to know what I mean by contrast, watch this video. Haha, get fucked. Where Jaden is happy and optimistic, Chazz is self-serious and pretty doom and gloom. You see, to Chazz, Duel Monsters isn't a game, it's a way to prove oneself, which mindset was created by his family. And now I feel as if it's a good time to bring up his family. The Princeton family, while rich, wasn't necessarily powerful. And so, the two Princeton brothers, Slade and Jagger, decided that they would conquer the world by taking control of the 3 pillars of the modern society. Business, politics, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Slade and Jagger took care of the business and politics side and left the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Duel Monsters to Chazz. And so, from a young age, Chazz was pressured to become great at this game. Any amount of failure led to rejection from the people he thought he could trust. And when he finally started doing well at school, getting the top rank into Obelisk Blue, he finally felt like he'd earned something. That is, until he came into his greatest problem yet: hero players. When Jaden showed up, it destroyed any notion that Chazz had about Duel Monsters. The game he thought was hyper serious was quickly shown to be just a game to someone, and someone who was good at it too. Jaden was actually taking steps to become the best in the world, and Chazz was nowhere near close. This triggered Chazz's fight or flight response. His first instinct, fight, led him to mess with Jaden, but Jaden, using his protagonist powers, was always able to stay on top, and so he was only left with flight, so he decided to run from Duel Academy. But Chazz's hardships don't quite end there. You see, he crashes his boat and ends up in Russia, outside of the gate of the sister to Duel Academy, North Academy. But he didn't have his deck with him, so he had to salvage the wasteland in search of cards to build a new deck with. Gosh, I love how stupid this show is. Chazz, using this collection of random cards, becomes the #1 ranked duelist in North Academy. And this did something to Chazz. For the first time, he relied off his own merits. He wasn't known as a Princeton, he was just known as the Chazz. For the first time, Chazz had accomplished something that he wanted to do. Not only that, but North Academy and Duel Academy were having a duel, where he could face off against Jaden one last time.
You got that right.
Well, why are you here?
For the duel.
I think it's sold out.
I'm in it.
Like as a ref?
I'm dueling you.
You mean, it's you? You're North Academy's dual rep?
But his brothers, ever observant, remind him that he still is a Princeton, and that they had allowed him to run away from Dual Academy. And so, in this duel with Jaden, he has to choose between two people. Chazz Princeton, the obedient lapdog of his two brothers, or the Chazz, someone who is able to win with any cards given to him. And when he finally chooses to become the Chazz, and yes, that is how I'll be referring to him from now on, his brothers decide to cut ties and destroy him and Dual Academy based off of one duel. And he proves that even if it's just him against the entire might of the Princeton family, he will come out on top himself. So, if it isn't obvious, I really love Chazz, especially when I was younger and I was still trying to figure out everything. You see, Chazz is weak, or at least that's where he started. All he wanted to do was to make the role models he looked up to happy, and to do that, he needed to put on a strong front. He wanted to be like the people he looked up to, and so he became an asshole just like they were. He was a victim of circumstance, and you really feel for him. And as the series progresses, he becomes more and more like a normal person and genuinely caring about his friends. His intense character arc kind of ends after season 1, and after that he kind of becomes comic relief, which is unfortunate. That's such a cool character, kind of got demoted to that role. And this is kind of where the sappy part of the video starts, so if you don't interested, then you can just kind of head out. Chazz means a lot to me, especially when I was younger. He was always trying to put on a strong front, acting cool in front of everyone. In every situation, he tried to stay composed, but ended up being goofy and enjoyable. I didn't necessarily want to be exactly like him, mainly because I didn't want to be an ass to everyone. But there was something admirable about his journey of self-discovery, defining himself, not by his family, but by his own actions. And coming from a larger family, I can kind of get that. It's really silly how a show, kind of making fun of its own premise, can have such an emotional character, at least to me. So, in conclusion, Chazz is really cool, and he's someone I really appreciate from my childhood. I know it's going to sound super corny, but him, Leonardo Watch, and Black Star were kind of the characters I wanted to be like and grow up to be. So that brings me an end.
Ready, geek? Time to get chazzed!
Hold that thought. Before you Chazz me, watch this. I reveal 2 of my face downs.
But how?
Easy. I just call out their names dramatically and they pop up. Haven't you played this game before? Because it's a pretty common occurrence.
Thank you all for watching, it really does mean a lot. We're almost at 5k subs, which is really spectacular because I didn't think we'd reach it this fast. Like, I started shitposting 2 months ago and people just kind of stuck around, so thank you. It means the world to me. I'm gonna just plug my stuff now if you don't mind. I have a Twitter. I just kind of like pictures of hot anime women and shitpost sometimes about Family Guy. I think someone stole my voice and started a Twitch channel, so you should check that out or something, I don't know. And finally, I have a Discord in which people shitpost, play games, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Guilty Gear mostly, and just have a lot of fun. So if you're interested, you should come and stop by. These kind of videos might be a little bit more common, they might not sure. Just if I feel the inspiration, I'm gonna make one. I have rescripted this video like 6 times, it's ridiculous.
Anyways, here's the mob.